2, 1. And we're live. I am back today and I'm very excited. I go very far back with Mr. Gilmurray, with Kieran. We've had a lot of experiences together and it made me very happy. And I was very excited to reach out to you and get you on this show and just spend 15, 20 minutes with you today. Because I remember when we were meeting and you were saying how important it was for you to launch a book. And now you've done it, man. You've launched a book. So, Kieran,
I know it's kind of hard to believe, isn't it? Actually, it's one of the until I physically got it in my grubby paws, I never quite believed it. But darn, that's 27 years after I first had the idea to write a book. Now I've done it. That said, at least the title of the book isn't the word brush, which was what I always told my wife I would call it for no apparent reason.
I love that. So tell us, you were talking about launching this book and getting it going, and I've seen all the press going out around it. It looks awesome. You've got some great reviews, a lot of people from very notable positions talking and giving some great strategies, some great tools for people either in the digital transformation world or wanting to get in or wanting to excel. And I really see it as a tool to help people, as a knowledge book to help people wherever they are in that journey. But what made you want to do it? What made you want to put your ideas to paper? What made you want to get it out there? And maybe as a second question, how did you come up with the title? 2 questions.
Yeah. Let me try and answer those. Then I'll do it in a chronological. I've sort of always wanted to write a book. Always been an ambition. Don't ask me why. Got in my head. Always been one of those bucket list items. Tick, 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 tick. But could never find quite what I was passionate about writing about. And then I suppose there's 2 things. One, I absolutely love digital transformation, intelligent automation. Been in this space for about 27 years. Never left it. I just love the impact of great tech on orgs. But, and this is the but part, Tom, when I came into this industry, as it's now bucketed, intelligent automation, RPA, hyper automation, 7, 8 years ago, see the amount of BS that was getting spoken around this topic area. And the amount of money that really good companies, really nice people were being charged for what I describe as either wrong or very poor advice really started to grate. And I remember my first build out, it cost tens of thousands of dollars. And you look back on, oh my goodness, that was a lot of money for not a lot of information. Now, ultimately, the products can drive a tremendous amount of value, but it really felt like a bit of a wild, wild west. And that sort of gnawed at me in the background. And then when I looked at the research in this area, when I looked at the people talking about it, felt very impractical. A ton of analysts, and that's not to knock analysts because some great ones, but a ton of analysts talking about what companies should do. And you're going, have you ever built a robot? Have you ever digitally transformed a firm? Have you ever done this? And a whole load of the usual expert suspects who've never been in the industry pop up, sense blood in the water, in other words, dollars to be made. And they were jumping in, offering all this advice. And you're going, that's just plainly wrong. You can't do that. So then I started to write on LinkedIn, as you and I know, because you've contributed to the articles as well. I just thought, why don't I go out to real experts who have been in the trenches, done this work, experienced it, and not just people who've had success, the people who are willing to admit to actually, I failed forward. I tried it. It didn't work. I went again. All those people who, what I describe, are genuine practitioner experts with the real practical scars. And anyone who doesn't admit to having scars never made it in. Went out to them, wrote 140, 50 articles and went, my goodness, there's enough here for a book. Took all those articles, put it into a book, put in case studies that people can use immediately, get going, put in a list of what you need to do to get a successful transformation program off and running and up and running and doing everything you need. Got 90 plus really great practitioners into the book, hand selected those. They've contributed to it. They've added 150, 160 different quotes, and then put in deep practice guides as well that talk about what you need to do in particular instances. So in other words, you need to PR a program, you need to worry about particular risks that people have come across, all the things that you need really to digitally transform an organization. And this is you as a technologist, a business manager, a lean practitioner, process person, just a guide that you can pick up and put down, and then build that out into something that's really high quality. I call it a fantastic doorstopper that anyone can use. And immediately reading the book, go, that makes sense because someone's done it or multiple people have done it. I need to do that, not that. Okay, page, action, done. And that's something I wish I had at the beginning. And for me, it's about all boats rise on the tide. If we can give away this amazing information to our community, then organizations will succeed really, really well. And then the market will grow bigger. People will have a hell of a lot more success. And guess what? There'll be more demand for the folks in this industry. But just out loud and to be very transparent, I don't make a penny out of this book. This is a passion about getting great information out there. I'm delighted to have a co-sponsor in Nick Andrews Virtual Operations, a fantastic company who have also contributed to the book, but you wouldn't know it. It's not a PR vehicle for them. Just Nick's passionate about it's same as myself, getting great content out into the market for free. All the money that's raised, once the book's paid for, and these things are expensive, but once it's paid for, and we're selling really well at the moment. And as you said, we're getting a lot of 5-star reviews and people writing really great compliments, which is really humbling as well. The rest of the money will go into 2 different charities as well. So that should evidence to folks this isn't about profit. This is about raising everyone's standard in the market, giving them great advice that they benefit. And hopefully, to God, some charities will benefit really considerably as well.
I love that. Double benefit. It's awesome. So I always think I'm at something at the moment. It's just like raise your standards, make sure it's better, make sure it's quicker, and you'll be a better person. I love that, how you're coming from it, Kieran, from a value feedback loop. So if you can do better, if a practitioner can do better, or someone that doesn't understand digital transformation wants to learn about it, they can use this book, they can use this tool to potentially advise people in the business and help it go further. I mean, are you seeing anything at the moment? I'm seeing it in particular. There's industries such as healthcare. I was at a conference with Alphalate earlier this week, and looking at other areas, and they still seem to be pretty siloed in areas. So it's quite important for companies to realize that if they want to get behind these digital transformation initiatives, they need to learn from people. And you, as you said, the 100+ contributors that have come in. So important today, right?
Yeah, no, it really is. And that's, I have empathy with companies, Tom, where everybody talks about digital transformation and intelligent automation, and there's that much change in the industry and that much tech that I get it can be overwhelming. Where do I begin? Where do I stop? Where do I start? Do I invest in this tech or that tech or whatever else? The book's designed to help you do that. As I put in the book, I think I wrote this in the book, the worst time to digitally transform is tomorrow. It's just never going to happen. And it's not too late, despite all the doom mongers that are in the market, and I at times use the phrase digital Darwinism. In other words, don't be like a dinosaur. Otherwise, if you don't do digital in some shape, form or other and get people in your org changed and trained and build your people strategy directly to your business strategy that encourages the growth in these skills and the growth in digital ways of working and thinking and operating and behaving, it's still not too late, but tomorrow will be too late. And that goes back to what we're saying, all these amazing practitioners, and that's been a joy spending time with these folks, and I've learned so much from them. And it's the biggest names in the industry, and there's lots of big names in the industry who aren't in it as well, and that's not a judgment in them. It's just the advice that I wanted had to be practicable and actionable. And as you said, you pick up this book, you jump to a particular chapter, you jump to a particular case study, you look at a deep dive practice guide, and you can immediately take advice off the back of that. Or what I would encourage people to do is, these folks are amazing in the book. Get them on LinkedIn, get them on Twitter, get them on their profile, follow their content, read what they're doing. You could have an amazing time. And if you don't know what you're doing, there are people in some expert consultancies in each of those companies who can answer any of these questions of people. So reach out to them. Don't know what you're doing. Please pick up the book. Please reach out to an expert. Do a combination of both. Get going. Do something. Because again, that is the worry, and it's not something I wish in any company. As you and I have seen in the industry, Tom, if you don't adopt digital ways of working and thinking and behaving and operating, you're in trouble. And the company you mentioned, Alpha Lake, Ollie, amazing company doing amazing things in the health space. That's one company I would recommend, one individual that I would recommend people reach out to. Ollie's not in the book, and that's just down to Ollie's time because he's busy. Did ask him, by the way, because he's darn good. He's just so busy doing amazing work in the health sector that it's phenomenal. If you're in the health sector, I would reach out to him in particular because he's amazing at what he does, and that company's superb at what they do.
Yeah, love it. So that's a great point as well. And I want to touch on it, how important, and I've got a question about a book, but quickly, I just want to touch on to the audience listening. I've got people from UK, from Ghana and from the US, and looking at it from how LinkedIn can be that platform to help you. As you said, reach out to the contributors, reach out to them. Kieran, you taught me a very good way of learning and a very good way of reaching out to people, and essentially how part of the AI Journal business was built on. And I think it's such an important part. When people ask me, I say read books and go on LinkedIn. I'm like, that's all you need to do. And you'll find the courses, you'll find the people such as Kieran to go and reach out to, and you'll find the books such as the A to Z of digital transformation, which you can go learn from, which I think is great. But I would love to know, when you wrote this book, you're very good at, as you said, 150 articles. And did you have any learning curves? Did you learn things? Someone from Australia is joining in as well. And did you learn things from writing this book that made you learn new things? Because 325 pages, it's quite a process to put that pen to paper, put those ideas to paper. I know you had the articles, but what did you have any learning points that kind of made you double check yourself or prove kind of lessons that you've been taught?
Yeah, so I'd laugh, Tom, and say I had long blonde hair when I started this process, and oh dear God, look at me. Every day is a school day, and as you and I know, and you and I are the same type of person in this regard, Tom, we love learning. And when you learn, you grow. When you stop learning and stop listening and stop reading, you shrink back. And that's of no use to any organization or any individual. You know, lifelong learning is a thing, has to be a thing for everyone in every single business. But by God, have I learned a lot about this book. And that's the funny thing. The title you asked me earlier on, how did I name it? Well, I wanted something really practical, and that's the A to Z. And it literally is 26 chapters plus everything else of organizational digital transformation. Then I wrote a no BS guide, which Amazon have a particular challenge with presenting out. They put BS as profanity. It's not meant to be rude or crude. It's just meant to be, I've seen so much BS in this industry, and I fine tooth comb that wasn't allowed in. But a book is not one individual's effort. My name will be in the front of it. I'll look as if I'm a face of it. But there's amazing people, like, as I mentioned, Virtual Ops earlier on, Gary Flood, the editor who did the book. We were talking earlier on about Charlotte and Becky from Let's Talk Communications, who have just been stars when it comes to actually, you know, working out how to self-publish on Amazon. That in itself is an adventure. You know, how to price a book. We have had copywriters and editors and everyone else in the background who have produced the most gorgeous, and I'm slightly biased here, but it literally, and this is not me who did it, it's all those folks who did it, who created this A5 book that is just stunningly laid out in between. And it's actually a pleasure to read it. Now, I've read it about 208 times. My wife, who's been amazing, and you know Paul as well, has copyrighted and proofed it and edited it and seen it. I think she could probably call it out word by word, but it's just gorgeously done. But a book is an effort of a lot of different people. There's one thing I'm going to release today, just out loud. I'm going to do something for charity in August, because again, I'm passionate about giving back. One of the things I've actually put in as one of my skills now is I've learned how to publish a book, and I'm going to offer time out in August. And I'm going to say, look, for an hour of my time on executive coaching, book writing, digital transformation, whatever else, if you want some lessons, I will spend time with you. I'll point you to all the right people. I'll talk about the writing process, because it does involve a lot of effort and a lot of people. But by God, it's worthwhile. I've always believed I've had a book in me. The question now, Tom, is, do I have another book in me, or can I afford to lose even more hair? And the answer so I'll leave that question relatively open.
I love how you're weighing up the pros and cons. It's I think you definitely read another book. There definitely needs to be a follow-on. And I guess so quickly, we've got people asking, where can they get the book? So I've seen it on Amazon. I've seen it through. There are other places they can get it as well, as a soft copy, a hard copy, so they can get their hands on this great knowledge.
Yeah, there's two things. The book primarily was written as a physical copy. You know, I literally wanted something that was substantial, that is pretty darn good quality. Mine's on my shelf. My mom got one, my two kids got one for their memory boxes. But it is a really good quality book that you can literally jump into at any particular point to understand. You want to understand the APIs, boom, you're done. You want to understand the risks involved in any program before you begin, so you can mitigate those. Done. You want a checklist of how to run a digital transformation, get everything in place, done as well. Everything's sitting there ready for folks to go, deliberately there. I'm a person who marks things, writes some things, sticky label things, the whole damn lot. But if you actually prefer a digital copy, then it's available on Kindle as well, available via Amazon self-publishing. That's one of the advices I would say to people. You never quite know how much a book is going to sell, and it does take money to actually get it done. The self-publishing route allows you to design something. And again, beautiful graphics in there. Charlotte and Becky sorted all that out for me. Beautiful graphics in. Those you upload onto Amazon, you organize a publishing date. You have to do that about a month in advance. And then as people demand the book, they print the book. That way there, you don't need to worry about overstocking, understocking, spending a huge amount of money getting it done. But at the end of this, we can add in the links into the chat session. But Amazon UK, Amazon US, and I'm also talking to the PR company around, could we get it out into India as well and beyond, because there's actually quite a few people looking for that as well. But I think on those two sites, you can order it in one and get it delivered internationally as well, I think.
Yeah, awesome. It's very exciting to get people having those physical copies and looking at how they can learn from this. And I just want to, I'm very respectful of your time, Kieran, but just for anyone watching that might not have the book at the moment, we've got people saying that they want to get their hands on it. What would you say, Kieran, as maybe 3 or 2 or 4, whatever you want to pick, as 3 considerations for the audience to take away if they are stepping into digital transformation? Maybe 3 key points that you'd recommend and say, this is what you need to consider, this is what you need to do. What would you say to people that are either starting their transformation or in as 3 key recommendations that they can also get in this book?
Try and remember 3 here. Look, we are in a digital world. Digital Darwinism does exist. If you don't digitally transform, I'm not confident that your audience will be there or your employees will be there, because no one wants to work through treacle and have bad experiences. Amazon, who I mentioned a moment ago, sort of set the standard for what everyone expects. Look at your bank. Everyone's moving in that direction. So do digitally transform, not tomorrow, today. Get the advice. So you mentioned Ollie from Alpha Lake, if you're in health or whatever it is, or one of the experts in the book, reach out to them, a virtual ops or someone else, go and get the help you need. Or, as I mentioned, I'm going to do a charity thing in August. I'll give you my time. I would like you to make a donation in charity in lieu of that time, and I will share my expertise in digital transformation. But there's a ton of people out there who will help. So 1 is digitally transform. 2 is reach out for the help that you're going to get. 3 is start today, or as soon as darn possible. Otherwise, it's a long, horrible road ahead. The book itself, just to go back to that momentarily, like I've 27 years experience in it. The folks who are in the book have, years, decades and beyond's worth of experience in this. I would say, someone said it takes 10,000 hours to be an expert. There's no one in the book who doesn't have 10, 20, 30,000 hours expertise in that. I think the book was pitched at, whatever it was, $40. So it covers itself and gets that money to charity. Divide that, thousands and thousands and thousands and tens and hundreds of thousands of hours by that figure, and you will end up getting an exceptional amount of knowledge, not just from me, from those 90 individuals plus, and those decades of real practitioner experience into your hands. That will help you tremendously as well. And that's literally why the book was written.
I love it. It's amazing. And to anyone watching, I really recommend you reach out to Kieran and reach out to people in the book. David Rivers has actually put the link to the book. So thank you, David, for sharing that. That's what I was going to suggest. I was going to put in the comments. But Kieran, really appreciate you taking the time today. It's brilliant to have people tuning in from around the world and people that will be watching the recording. And I'd recommend anyone to go get themselves a copy of this book and to learn from it, whether you're a starting person or you're one of the CIOs, whether you're very far ahead in your career in this path. You can learn something from it. And I always think learners become earners. And so whatever way you want to do that, they earn more in their career. They do more things. They do things. So I'd always encourage people to learn and to look at new angles and to never look at something from a right or wrong and just take it as a kind of angle of what can I take from this and apply it. Maybe you'll take 1 clip from it. Maybe you'll take all 325 clips from it. But it's definitely a book that I really appreciate you putting together and was very proud you put it together, Kieran, because it's adding a lot of value. And I love to see it now in a physical format and out there in the world. And it's brilliant to hear from you today about what the plans are. And I look forward to the second book. I'm counting on you doing another one.
Fantastic. I may take a time out.
I'm a few weeks off. No, I love it. Well, Kieran, I really appreciate you joining us today. To the audience, I really appreciate you joining. And as always, look forward to doing the next session with you. And have a great weekend. Kieran, it's been an absolute pleasure, sir.
Thank you, sir. Good to see you. And thanks, everyone, for joining in. Thanks for sharing that, Dave.